In this video, I'll be breaking down Fall Guys Season 4, which is the biggest update we received in the game's history. From UI changes to bug fixes, this video will cover all that and everything in between. Throughout the video, you'll hear me say SS4. It's basically another way of saying Season 4 and continues the SS naming scheme we've had since the game went free to play. You may also hear me say 10.0.0. If you go into the settings in the top right and the bottom left, you'll see a number that says 10.0.0. Basically, Season 10 is using the old legacy way of counting seasons, so even though we're in Season 4 in the game's code, we're in Season 10. The first number is the season we're in, and that's currently Season 10. The second number is actually the mid-season update. A mid-season update can actually contain new maps or new variations, and the third number is actually bug fixes. So sometimes they release an update that actually fixes some bugs. In Season 3 Sunken Secrets, we have 37 maps in solos, 43 in squads, and 42 in duos. In Season 4 Creative Construction, the map count remains the same for squads, coming in at 43. Solos still has 37 regular main maps, however, it currently has 57 maps in total, 20 of them being creator-made maps. 30 more maps are slated to be released in the coming months. Duos no longer has team games, so it comes down to 37. With the release of a new season comes a new set of maps to be released from the vault. And here are the maps that got unvaulted: Basketfall, Fall Mountain, Full Tilt, Seesaw, Gate Crash, Hoopsie Legends, Rollout, Snowball Survival, Lost Temple, Snowy Scrap, and Thin Ice. After 7 months and 23 days in the vault, Thin Ice is finally free. It got vaulted at the start of SS2 if I recall correctly, which started on September 15th, 2022. In SS4, 12 maps have gotten vaulted. I won't go through all of them, but we'll go through some of the notable ones. Bean Hill Zone got vaulted, and in SS3, that map had an issue where the music would cut off while spectating. It has something to do with the special spectator music setting. If you turn that option off, the music comes back, and seemingly other maps like Bounce Party and the Swiveler suffered from the same issue. This issue only affected SS1 hunt rounds. However, they managed to fix the bug in the Swiveler, and the map is currently in the game. A bigger reason why Bean Hill Zone got vaulted was the fall feed wasn't working, so you couldn't see who qualified or not. So I can see why they vaulted the map, but it didn't need to in my opinion, because the issues were pretty minor. I learned this from the people who commented on my Fall Guys SS3 is hot garbage video, so thank you. And here's something that surprised me: Hoop Shoot and Puzzle Path are vaulted. I legit thought Cracker Slam was about to be the one to go due to the Rainbow Strap, which is basically an exploit, but I guess the season had enough race maps and those two were just getting featured way too often. Without fail, Puzzle Path was always around winning squads. So when I was doing research for this video and just getting screenshots and stuff ready, I found out that Slime Scraper was apparently unvaulted, but only in duos and not in solos. The thing is, duos doesn't have team shows, so I don't know why it wasn't unvaulted in solos unless it was a mistake or something. So I went on Twitter to see what Fall Guys Owl was saying about it, and they did list all the maps are unvaulted for all the core modes, and Slime Scraper, Roll On, and Ski Fall were actually listed as maps that were currently in the game. However, as people noted, they weren't in the game. And when I'm recording this particular segment, which was on May 23rd, 2023, Fall Guys Owl hasn't made a tweet letting people know that those 3 maps have actually been vaulted. This is not really off-brand for them, because in Season 3 Sunken Secrets, Sweet Thieves was actually vaulted. By the beginning of the season, it wasn't, but it got vaulted midway due to people going to dead servers and farming wins, and they didn't tweet letting people know that the LTM was actually gone. With the release of Season 4, we didn't get a live event to coincide with the launch of a season, which is the first time this has happened in the game's history since live events were a thing back in Legacy Season 5. When I'm recording this video, the Digi Trials isn't out yet, but by the time this video will release, the live event will probably be live, or when you're watching this, the event will be over. So just know, when I'm recording this video, the event isn't live just yet. And it seems like we're gonna get a full skint for the event, and the most notable thing, and I cannot believe I have to say this, we are actually getting more than 200 kudos. We're actually getting 1,500 kudos, and if I did my maths right, that's actually a 7.5 times increase in the amount of kudos we were getting before. Let's hope this live event actually sets a precedent to where we'll always be getting 1,500 kudos on all the live events, and not just the ones where you actually have to win. While 1,500 kudos isn't a lot to someone who's actually new to the game, to casual players who started with Season 1 free-for-all, this 7.5 times increase is actually phenomenal for them. So I'm very happy for them. To me and to other Legacy players, this means nothing. However, I'm very glad Mutar decided to increase the kudos. The 1,500 kudos payout is almost in line with what we used to receive back in the Legacy days. For the most part, we would actually receive 2 2,000 kudos as a payout back in the legacy live events like Satellite Stars Bravery, Satellite Stars Logic, and Satellite Stars Adapt actually will give out 2,000 kudos. However, on the flip side, live events like the Fall Festival Challenge will give out 900 kudos, and the Halloween Challenge and the Season 6 finale or the Legacy Season 6 finale live event will give out 5,000 kudos. So it wasn't always consistently 2,000, but for the most part, it would be around the 2,000 range. But definitely not 200 kudos that we were receiving in Season 1 Free-For-All, Season 2 Solid Scramble, and Season 3 Sunken Secrets. So all in all, the 1.5k kudos that we're going to be receiving for this particular live event, we aren't sure if all the live events are going to be giving out 1.5k kudos. This seems to be in line with what we used to receive back in the day, which is definitely a great thing. I'm definitely glad that Izzytorium actually decided to increase the kudos, not to some insignificant number like 400 or 600 or even 300. I'm glad they decided to do it by a 7 times increase. With Season 4, they have done away with the traditional season pass and have gone the route of 3 mini fame passes. At first, we were made to believe that it would be only 40 tiers. However, it seems like it's 40 tiers with core items like skins, colors, patterns, and etc. But one pass will have 120 tiers. Right before you're able to buy the first fame pass, you have to acknowledge the first pop-up that said that the season pass has gone and the fame pass has taken its place. Then you're able to purchase it. In SS3, you just get one pop-up that just allows you to buy the pass. It seems like 72 tiers are dedicated to crown shards, which comes out to 2,160 shards total. You then divide that number by 60, which is how many shards you need to get one crown, and it comes out to 36 crowns in Fame Pass 1. In SS3, 93 tiers were dedicated to crown shards, so that comes out to 2,790 shards. Let's divide that number by 60 and you'd get 46.5. Let's round it down to 46, so you would have gotten 46 crowns upon completing the season pass. Now, let's assume the other 2 fame passes gives out 2,160 shards as well. So that's 2,160 times 2, and it comes out to 4,320 shards. Remember, divide the number by 60 and you would get 72 crowns in both Fame Pass 2 and 3. However, we're not done yet. Let's combine that with 36 from the first Fame Pass and you would get 108 crowns in total from all 3 Fame Passes. You would get 62 more crowns from the Fame Passes than you would completing the SS3 Season Pass. This is assuming that you buy the Fame Passes and complete them. Let's talk about the cost of the Fame Pass versus the Season Pass. The Fame Pass costs 600 per pass, but gives out 800 Showbucks, so all 3 will cost 1,800, but you'll earn 2,400 Showbucks, which comes out to a gain of 600 Showbucks when all is said is done, which is coincidentally enough to buy the next season's Fame Pass. Switching over to the Season Pass, that would give out 1,500 Showbucks, but cost 950 to purchase, leaving us 550 extra Showbucks. Even though it seems that the Season Pass has more tiers, when you combine all 3 Fame Passes, you get 360 tiers. If you're a casual player, this is definitely huge for you, just because you can actually finish the first 40 tiers, which has all the core items, and then you don't need to complete the other 72 tiers because they're all extra. So you can leave the game and come back when the next Fame Pass comes out. And you'll have enough Showbucks from the first 40 tiers to be able to purchase the next Fame Pass. Both the Fame Pass and Season Passes give out kudos. Let's see which one has the better value. You can expect to get 15,000 kudos from all 3 Fame Passes, assuming you buy them and unlock them, of course. That comes out to 5,000 kudos per pass. Whereas in SS3, it would only give out 4,000 kudos for the entirety of the pass. So it seems like the Fame Pass actually has better value because one Fame Pass gives out more kudos than the entire Season Pass did. And remember, you can unlock those kudos within the first 27 tiers of the Fame Pass. And in the SS3 Season Pass, you need to unlock 95 tiers in order to earn the 4,000 kudos. In the first Fame Pass, you can get a full skin in the free tiers of the Fame Pass. The cutest friend skin can be unlocked just by playing the game and just unlocking it just through normal means, which I think is the first time you can unlock a full skin in the past for free since the game went free to play back in Season 1 Free-For-All. We can assume that Fame Pass 2 and Fame Pass 3 will have a full skin that you can unlock just by playing the game. Thank you to commenter Kamiko5188 for bringing that to my attention. Every core show, that being solos, squads, and duos, are now capped at 40 players, whereas in SS3, only solos was limited to 40 players, and that was changed in the middle of the season. Oh yeah, and during SS3 and just basically before that, you would actually have 2 numbers during the show searching screen. The live player count that would update as the lobby fills up, and we would actually have the limit or the cap of how many people can actually join a lobby. However, in SS4, they did away with the actual cap, and it's just one number, which is the live player count. The players qualified screen is shrunken down considerably to hold only 40 players. Before, it was much larger to accommodate 60 players. I can imagine Switch players liking this change, especially those who play the game on handheld, since it's more zoomed in, making it easier for them to see. Another change is that it actually highlights you in your box, but in squads and duos, it doesn't highlight your teammates, which I just think is an oversight and probably a bug. But I could just see them adding that or fixing it with an update. This section will cover some of the bug fixes and improvements made to the game. I won't be able to mention everything, so let me know in the comments if I missed anything important, especially you Nintendo Switch players, because I don't play the Switch port of Fall Guys. Starting out with arguably the biggest one, and it's that they killed 360 diving, which was an exploit that involved you having 150 plus FPS and allowed you to gain significant speed and momentum. It got its name from the fact that you perform a 360 while diving. Since the physics is FPS based, you would get higher momentum and speed on rounds like Lily Leapers if you had really high FPS. The thing with 360 diving was, in Lily Leapers Limbo, a limited time mode that contains 2 rounds of Lily Leapers along with a guaranteed Lily Leapers finale where the first person who crosses the finish line wins a crown. People who would use 360 diving throughout the game had a huge advantage and would finish the level in 25 seconds or less. They probably couldn't make it to where everyone could do it, so getting rid of it was the best thing. This change makes the game a whole lot more fairer for everyone. And the good news is, with this change, they can bring back Lily Leapers Limbo. Moving on, they fixed the cannon in Pipe Dream. For the entirety of SS3, they just weren't working, but now they are. In Blastlantis, you used to be able to go under this aqua colored bridge, however they patched that and so you can no longer go under it. So you used to be able to stand in this little gap that was actually sandwiched between these 3 golden circles, and if you stood there, no matter how many blast balls people would throw at you, you just wouldn't budge at all. You were literally unkillable. However, with this season 4 update, they have now put an invisible wall in place so you can no longer go in between the 3 circles. That's not all. They actually added some visual changes to justify the invisible wall being there. They added some sand and they added these 2 coral or corals. I'm not sure. It's called plural. I'm not sure, but they added some stuff, and that's pretty neat actually. They could have just added the invisible wall and people would just be like whatever, but they actually decided to justify it by adding some visual changes, which is pretty neat in my opinion. I believe you can't go up the arch as well. You used to be able to do that with the aid of a blast ball. You would use it to shoot yourself upwards and land on top of the signage. However, it seems like it's no longer possible. In squads, you can no longer stand on this yellow fence and dodge the water. Basically, you couldn't do this in solos, but squads and duos was a little different because Blastlantis actually times out, and people will stand on this yellow fence, and basically when the timer reaches 0-0, the water wouldn't reach them. Miotonic has actually made improvements to the blast ball, mainly the physics of the blast balls. They now have a consistent explosion at all ranges. This is going to be a little hard to explain in the short amount of time I'm going to give myself. This honestly could be a whole video by itself, but I'm going to try to explain it as concisely as I can. Ever since the introduction of the blast balls in Season 1 Freefall or SS1, the way the blast balls work was kind of wonky, because you would think if you throw a blast ball directly at someone's face, they will go flying far away. However, the opposite is true. If you throw a blast ball to where the person is at the edge of the explosion's radius, they will go flying far away. So the strat for the longest time was to throw the ball a little bit away from the person. And I really haven't had a chance to fully explore the improvements. However, from what I can tell, if you try to throw a blast ball away from the person a little bit, they won't go flying as far away as they did before. However, that doesn't mean if you throw a blast ball to the side of a person and they're near an edge, they just won't die. They definitely will. And honestly, I didn't really know that the blast balls improved while I was actually playing Blastlantis. I didn't have a chance to look at the patch notes, and I was just playing blast ball like I normally do, and I was still getting kills. However, if you throw a blast ball to the person's face, they will actually go flying a little bit further than they did before. And when jumping on top of a blast ball, you get blasted way higher than you did before. All in all, the blast ball's physics have slightly improved. However, you can still implement some of the strats that people will teach you. So throw a blast ball to where the person is at the edge of the explosion radius and they'll still go flying. However, it's a lot more reliable to throw a blast ball at a person's face now. In squads, if your team is eliminated, no longer will you see the round over banner, it'll simply show the eliminated banner. Basically, instead of seeing 2 banners, you'll only see 1, and this change wastes less time since you know the round is over and you're just basically done for. In survival based finales, they finally made it to so when your entire squad is dead, you aren't forced to spectate the other team since the game now ends when one team is fully dead. Before, you have to stay and watch as the other team were the only ones left. If your team is the last one standing in a survival finale like roll off, extraterrestrial, jump stone, and etc., the game will now just end. I noticed that when my random duo died, it showed the elimination banner and allowed me to get my rewards, whereas before you would have to stay till the game was over, even though we were all dead, and if you just left, you would get no rewards. However, this is no longer the case. Being able to leave when your entire team is dead and you would just get your rewards is something I wish just was done sooner, but I'm glad it's here. I don't know if it's just me, but games and squads just end much faster now. No longer are you waiting around for the last guy to qualify. Well, this isn't the case for all maps, but the simple ones like Tundra Run, Where the Gig, and Track Attack are some examples I can think of that it just ends way faster than I remember, especially if it's a round 1. Let me know if this is an actual change or has squads always been like this. As previously mentioned, duos no longer contain team games, so the round pool has been reduced from 42 to 37. It's basically solos without skip-based matchmaking, but you just need a partner. In Hexaterrestrial, the tiles under the wall will now despawn, preventing players from wall jumping. They added a timer to Jump Showdown, which according to the notes notes is a fix. I don't remember Jump Showdown ever having a timer in my time playing Fall Guys, and I've been playing since Legacy Season 4, so was there ever a time in JS before that? Either way, it's also here in Kraken Slam and Roll Off as well, so that's cool. In the Crown Rank page, they raised the little text that sits under the Crown Rank badge. In SS3, it was all the way at the bottom of the page, so this is a very nice change. If you play on console or you play with a controller on PC, you'll notice that the L3 that used to be for the open party button has now changed to R3. Back in SS3, pressing the L3 button if you were using a controller on PC wouldn't work, and on PC, pressing the tab key wouldn't do anything, so I would have to use my mouse in order to open the party. If you use a controller while playing on PC, you're now able to open the party with a controller rather than having to use your mouse. Inviting players on PC has slightly changed. They've now changed the hotkey from Shift F3 to V. Basically, this would open the Epic social panel. There's still no way to invite them with a controller if you're on PC, however. One of the biggest changes they've made is that they reduced the intro camera sequence you see at the start of basically every map. You can see this improvement in maps like Lost Temple, Tundra Run, Fall Mountain, Full Tilt, Treetop Tumble, Party Promenade, Leading Light, and probably way more than I just listed. I'll be talking about the intros in detail later in the video. These shorter intros allows us to get right into the game and are just such a nice improvement. Along with shrinking the elimination screen, it lets us spend more time playing and less time waiting. In the creative maps Izzytorium have made, they've done away with the intros altogether and just get into the action as soon as possible. And the thing that I really don't like is that you can't move your camera during the countdown sequence in the creative maps, whereas you can during the regular maps. I've noticed that after the player qualification screen, it loads the next map really fast. Sometimes it'll even take you into the next map screen instantly. If the next round is a creative one, however, then it'll take quite a while to load. However, in squads and duos, the next round will usually load in 3 to 5 seconds. In solos, if it isn't a creative round that's upcoming next, it'll load quickly. I noticed that in squads and duos, it's more likely to load the map fast. Either way, they've really improved the loading times in all the core modes essentially, from like 10 seconds to down to like 5 seconds at most. Izzytorium said, and I quote, "Fixed instances of volleyball starting with uneven teams in solos, even though they just vaulted volleyball? I suppose if they don't do it quickly, they're probably going to ignore it while it's vaulted." That's my guess, but it's just so weird they mentioned a fix for volleyball when it's vaulted. According to the release notes, they even fixed patterns of appearing blurry while in the menu on Switch, along with improvements to various freezing when loading menus, so that's awesome. They talked about this during the creative construction broadcast they did for SS4, but they improved body blocking, and in some cases, I've noticed a slight improvement in maps like Tundra Run. I don't get body blocked as often while going up the incline at the start. Probably too early for me to make a full judgment. I will report back in my end of the season video that I've been doing since SS2. But for now, I can definitely feel that body blocking is still part of the game, and it should be part of the game in my opinion, because body blocking and ragdolling are the things that make Fall Guys, well, Fall Guys. But I've noticed a very slight improvement, but it just still happened, which is annoying, but it is what it is. There have been a lot of map changes this season, so I'm sure I'm going to miss something, but here are some of them that I noticed. In Whirligig, the intro cam is much shorter. In SS3, it used to last for 14 seconds, now it lasts for 5 seconds. It is now 35% shorter. At the starting section with the maze of pink batons, the platforms that were once purple have changed to pink, and the visual downgrade that was present in S3 was a bug thankfully, and the textures on the yellow bumpers are now back. Also, the bumper wall after the first conveyor belt was missing its texture as well, but that's back too. Hit Parade's intro cam sequence used to last for 14 seconds, and now it lasts for 5 seconds. And the flooring has changed from purple to pink. The sprinkles are back on the bumpers, and in both the turnstile variant and the mini rotating beam variation, the inner circle has changed to pink, whereas it was purple previously. The incline in the end is now yellow, whereas it was blue before, and the floor that usually contained the bollards or the hammers is now changed to this dark pink color. DoorDash's intro sequence used to last 20 seconds, and now it's been cut down to 10 seconds, a 50% reduction. Blaslantis finally added the tentacle that was teased in the splash image. And as I said previously, you can no longer go under the aqua colored bridge, as well as now being able to go up the arch with the aid of a blast ball. In squads, they patched a strat where you're able to jump on top of this fence right here and not die when the water rolls up all the way. In Hexaring, at the end of the intro camp sequence, there was a final frontal shot of the players where the music will go quiet. They made it to where it's much shorter now and let the music carry over to the countdown sequence rather than ending when the frontal shot is present. Saving us 4 seconds. Party Promenade's intro camera sequence used to be 18 seconds, but with season 4, they have shortened it to 5 seconds. The only change I've noticed is that the conveyor belt after the first trapeze is significantly slower now. It could be a bug, but who knows. Pipe Dream's intro cam remains unchanged, lasting 17 seconds, and the cannons now work again. They were broken for the entirety of season 3 Saga Secrets. Dizzy Heights has definitely had one of the biggest glow ups this season. Dizzy Heights intro used to be 10 seconds, but with the season 4 update, it is now 5 seconds. That is a 50% reduction in time. Here's the thing that I noticed with intros in general is that towards the very end of the intro, it'll just stay at like a static shot of the players for 5 or so seconds. Then it'll cut to where you're able to actually move your camera in the countdown sequence. And this isn't only unique to Dizzy Heights, by the way. Other maps will do this. Sometimes Party Promenade, Treetop Tumble. I've noticed a lot of race rounds, especially round 1 or round 2 race maps will do this. The blue padding at the start has been replaced with this vibrant yellow, as well as the spinning plates have changed colors to a more vibrant green, as well as having a boost in saturation and contrast. The sprinkles are back on the bumpers, and the purple after the plate has been swapped with this hot pink, and the light blue has been changed to a yellow. Seems like they did this to increase visibility, since it all seemed like it was part of the same flooring, but in fact they were different. The flooring has changed to yellow, and the other discs have gotten the same treatment as well. Right before the final incline, the padding has once again changed to pink to give us some more variety. And this could be a bit of a stretch, but the 3 speed bumps near the end have changed slightly as well. The upper part of the yellow bumper now no longer has a hot spot. Seems like they increased the contrast on the blue part of the checkered finish line as well. So all in all, this map has definitely got a nice visual upgrade. Snowy Scrap has had a few changes as well. I only played one game of it since season 4 came out because it's quite rare to get. The flooring that represents the team is way brighter than it was in SS1, and the biggest change is that the snow is more detailed. It seems like they improved the texture quality of the snow by a good margin. It's not as flat as it once was, and now has a better depth to it. I really can't explain more than that. I just felt they also added some contrast to it, which makes it easier to see. Like most of the new openings, Full Tilt's new intro camp sequence is now 5 seconds, whereas before it was 15 seconds. Gatecrash's camp sequence was 11 seconds and now it is 6 seconds. With the introduction of dive sliding, you can dive on the slime floor near the end of the map. Hexaterrestrial's new camera intro is 5 seconds long and cuts to 2 camera angles, whereas before, the old Hexaterrestrial intro was 10 seconds long and would cut to 3 camera angles. And it seems just like in Hexaring, the music will actually play upon the second shot and right before the countdown starts. The tiles in Hexaterrestrial are a lot more darker yet more saturated. When the wall approaches the tiles, it now interacts with it, making it disappear. Before the update, the tiles wouldn't be affected by the wall, so people would just jump on the wall and would just hit those tiles over and over again. Thin Ice is back and you can expect with a shorter intro, clocking in at 7 seconds and the old one was at 10 seconds. You cannot dive slide on the ice tiles, which is probably why Thin Ice was vaulted for so long. They were trying to figure out how to make it so you can't dive slide on the ice tiles. Well, at least that's my theory anyways. Honestly, I'm not complaining about it, I'm just glad to see it back. I was also able to get the mini variation as well, so it seems like it'll have multiple variations, but I don't think they'll bring back the low gravity variant due to the low gravity potentially flashing really fast on the switch port. As for Hoopsie Legends, the only real change is the fact that you can't bounce as high as you used to on the purple bumper, and you just can't do it consistently either. It's still possible to get up to the bridge, but almost not worth it if you really need the point. It could just be me, but I think they made the purple bumper a lot more shinier. I'm sure Alex J. Lockwood likes the fact that Lost Temple is back. It's also back but has a new snazzy intro and it's 5 seconds long. And personally, I love the new intro way more. It just looks visually way better and just conveys more in less time. I've only played one game of Lost Temple, so I'm not sure if there are any more map changes, so if you find any, comment below and let me know. When Fall Mountain was in the game last time, I played the game at low settings, and now I'm playing the game at max settings, so the graphical comparison might not be apples to apples, but wow, the map just looks great. And oh yeah, the intro is now 5 seconds long. Before SS4, it was 9 seconds long, so a 55% reduction. Roll-Off's new intro is just so smooth. I love the pan down with the yellow thing blocking the scene, very nice. Oh yeah, and it's also 5 seconds long, whereas the old one was 10 seconds long, so a 50% reduction. It also has a timer letting you know that it can be timed out. Rollout is back after so long, and its new intro is 6 seconds versus it being 10 seconds long before. Jump Club's old intro feels a lot longer than 11 seconds, and the new one is like 5 seconds, which just feels significantly better than before. Apparently, Leading Light had one of the longest intros, that being 14 seconds long. I just never realized it was that long. And the new one is 6 seconds, which is a 42.85% reduction. Also, the Blizzard fan wind is just a lot more visible. To me, the light is a lot more forgiving, and it just doesn't juke around or move in an unpredictable manner. It moves in a straight line for most part, and just the map was really difficult in Season 3. They for sure toned down the difficulty, but that's just not confirmed and it's just my suspicion. Speed Slider has a new intro, but it seems to be the same length, which is 5 seconds. This map had the most egregious change. While on the slide after the first U-turn, you don't immediately accelerate when you take the first boost panel, and you just move like a snail. When you land on the boost panel, it just feels like someone is just pushing you down. You feel heavier, if that makes any sense. The only thing that's changed in Little Leapers is the fact that you can't do 360 diving anymore, so for a lot of people it's changed for the worse, but since I could never do 360 diving, this change really doesn't bother me that much, and I feel like it just makes the map more fair. If you thought Leading Light's intro was long, Tundra Run had an 18-second intro. Now that's 5 seconds. That is actually crazy. I've played 19 games of Tundra Run since Season 4 started, and I've noticed in all the 19 games that I've played, the 2 cannons at the start will only shoot out small sized snowballs. In Season 3 and prior, they would actually shoot out a variety of snowballs ranging from small, medium, and large. The gust of wind from the Blizzard fan that's located after the ice section is more visible and even reaches slightly further. I got knocked out in the air by the glove and the wind managed to reach me. And same goes for the fan on the top of the incline. Track Attack's old intro was 10 seconds, but thanks to the Season 4 update, it is now 5 seconds, a 50% reduction. While comparing SS3 footage of Track Attack and Season 4 footage, there is a slight change I noticed while playing Track Attack in Season 4. In SS3, when you're on the final top path, you run out of boost right before the speed arch. However, in Season 4, that's not the case. You'll still have the boost upon entering the speed arch. It might be difficult to notice what I'm talking about, so here, take a closer look. It could just be the way I'm hitting the finish line, but in Season 3, you used to be able to dive onto the edge of the finish line and you would still qualify. However, in Season 4, that's not the case. I would actually try and hit the edge of the finish line multiple times, but I wasn't able to qualify. The triangle bumper at the start of Slam Climb has its sprinkles back. Like in Dizzy Heights and Hit Parade, Slam Climb's bumper actually lost its sprinkles. Also, in SS3 and before, whenever you jumped on the bumper, you're actually able to get launched all the way up in the air. And while you're still able to do the shortcut, when you try to jump on the bumper, you just get launched a little bit in the air. I believe they changed the way the bumpers work. You can't bounce as high on them in general. However, in Slime Climb, I really like this change just because when you bounced on the bumper previously, you actually had a chance to be really high up in the air, and that's actually to your disadvantage because other people will take the bumper shortcut and they could actually be low to the floor and they could be ahead of you. So by making it to when you bounce the bumper, you're low to the floor, it's actually a good thing rather than a bad thing. In Pipe Dream, the Blizzard fan section is a little different. The wind emitting from the fans is more visible, and this is more of a round type change, but in duos, Pixel Painters has a logic tag. I recorded the footage on May 10th at 4:21 p.m. However, I was playing squads and 33 minutes later got it, but this time it was a race round? That's really odd. Pixel Painters should be a logic round. When promoting the round back in SS2, Mediatronic said it was a logic round. In Hexagon, the intro now does one sweeping motion rather than multiple cuts. And if you dive onto a tile, you'll hear this thud sound effect when you land. Here, take a listen. That's all the map changes I've noticed. Now let's move on to the smaller details you may not have noticed. Upon booting up the screen, you're met with a familiar onslaught of logos. However, a new one was added, and that's the Wushu Studios logo. These guys are the ones that Mediatronic outsourced Fall Guys Creative to. They're founded in 2017 and are based in Liverpool, UK. So only 4 or so hours away from Mediatronic HQ, who are also based in the United Kingdom. While on the home screen, in the bottom left, they've changed the lower third slightly. In Season 3 Sunken Secrets, it would say Season Progress. However, in Season 4, they've now changed it to Past Progress. So from 16 characters to 12 characters, they were actually able to slightly increase the font size of the words Past Progress. However, they decreased the preview of the next Fame Pass reward, yet the size of the lock remains the same. They even added a snazzy little timer, which wasn't there at the beginning of SS3. However, it would get added to the season eventually. SS4's timer is neatly tucked away at the bottom right. In SS3, it was placed slightly above from the bottom. They managed to neatly tuck away the bottom part of the rectangle by layering it with the white border, making it seem seamless. The most significant change made to the lobby screen is the bottom right part of the screen. They took what was previously 3 buttons and replaced them with 2. The show selector button is no more, and in its place is this 3-piece graphic. Rather than having 3 buttons with 3 different colors, they opted to make them all the same blue that was once used for the show selector button, so it's truly not forgotten. Even the position of the gray bubbles that was once on the show selector button is positioned exactly the same on the play button. However, due to the play button being bigger than the show selector, the gray bubbles have been scaled up accordingly, but they're the exact same in terms of shape. It's probably difficult to see the difference due to YouTube's compression, so I'm going to flick back and forth between the show selector button and the play now button. I even outlined the gray bubbles with Photoshop, so you should be able to see the difference. If you're on a PC and hover over the play button with your mouse, it'll turn pink. Sadly, you can't do this with a controller. Same with the player invite button. When you have a show selected and hover over the image with your mouse, it'll actually zoom in. Even if you don't have a show selected and you actually hover over the 3-piece graphic, it'll actually just react or also zoom in as well. It's not something that most people are going to do, but it's just so cool. If you just stay in the lobby screen and don't have a show selected, the actual 3-piece graphic would actually do a little wiggle every 3 seconds, kind of subtly reminding you to actually go and select a show. Or another thing is, if you don't have a show selected and go to a different tab and come back to the lobby screen, the images will do a small wiggle. If however you do have a show selected and come back to the lobby, it'll bounce from the bottom to the top. I just love the attention to the little details. It just gives gives the lobby screen just a type of life. I can't really describe it to you. It's just something that I really enjoy. Now let's move on to the challenges. The challenge board didn't receive any overhaul or any visual changes. Instead, they changed the type of rewards you can earn and the quantity of them. You can now only earn fame from the daily challenges, whereas in the SS3 daily challenges, you were actually able to earn kudos and shards. I calculated the amount of fame you could potentially earn via the daily challenges, and that comes out to 21,800, whereas in the SS3 daily challenges, you could earn 10,500, essentially doubling the amount of fame you can earn. Here's where it gets kinda sour for SS4. In the weeklies for Season 3 Sunken Secrets, you were able to earn 46,800 fame and 60 shards upon completing the weekly challenges. However, in Season 4, you can now only earn 13,400 fame, although you can now earn a guaranteed 240 shards a week, along with 2,000 kudos. Whereas in SS3, you're able to earn only 1,400 kudos a week and 60 shards. This is assuming you completed all the daily challenges, of course. So in terms of kudos and shards, the Season 4 weeklies are better in that regard. However, if you total up the fame you earned if you finish the weeklies and dailies in Season 3 Sunken Secrets, that is, it comes out to 57,300 fame. However, if you do the same for SS4 or Season 4, the total comes out to 35,200. And if I did my math right, that's 61% less fame earned. Basically, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the weekly challenges are just time gated. So you can't finish finish them in a day or two, which sucks. I used to love being able to finish the weeklies in basically a day, and as someone who has a boatload of kudos, this change basically means nothing to me, but as a casual player, I suppose any increase of kudos is great. Basically, in terms of kudos and crown shards, these season 4 challenges are better, but when it comes to fame, the SS3 challenges were better. Oh yeah, and the marathon challenges are gone. I hope it comes back because the marathon challenges were a thing since SS1, and in SS3, it gave out 2 full costumes. Well, one of them was an alternative costume, but either way, it gave out 2 full costumes, which was nice since it rewarded loyalty and incentivizes you to finish the challenge. You could have earned like 27 crowns from the marathon challenges, which isn't something to scoff at. Spent a little too much time on the challenge board, my apologies. Let's move on to the show selector. And what a show selector this is, because it received a massive glow up. It's been divided into 2 sections now, one called featured, where it'll have the core modes, that being solos, squads, and duos, along with the weekly LTM. No longer are there going to be like multiple LTMs that last anywhere from 2 to 4 days. It's going to be like one LTM, but it lasts for 7 days. And the creator round playlist, which is also basically an LTM, and Izzytorium will gather creative mode maps made by the community based on playtime and other metrics. And at the bottom, the creator made rounds will feature maps made in creative mode and are single round only. And for now, it seems like it'll reset every Tuesday and give out 5 shards upon completing them. One of my favorite changes is when you select a show, it now lets out a ripple when it's completed its animation, which is such a nice detail. They changed the name of the core modes by getting rid of the show part of it essentially. So instead of solo show, it's now called solos. Instead of squad show, it's called squads. Instead of duo show, it's called duos. In SS3, whenever you switched from a live show to custom show, the color of the tab you're currently in never changed colors, which just seemed like a mistake. However, it does change color in season 4. While on the topic of customs, the music will change when you enter the custom host screen and it'll change when you leave it. I learned that from content creator Stentric. Thank you for sharing that. However, that's not the only things they've changed. In customs, they removed Let's Get Kraken, Volleyball Tournament, and Hoverboarding Time. The reason they removed those particular LTMs is because they actually have maps that are actually vaulted. And in SS3, Izzytorium made to where if a show is vaulted, it can no longer appear as an LTM. However, they did add a few shows. They added in Survival of the Fittest, Finals Marathon, and Slam Dunk, while also adding in Creator Round of Playlist 1 and a bunch of creator-made maps. The preview images are just more elongated. You can't preview the required players, which is just lame in my opinion. You should be able to see at a glance how many people you need. I hope they can change this soon. And the most obvious change is that the color of the menus and the how to play screen has changed to this pastel pink to coincide with the season's theme, which is digital. Oh, how could I forget the biggest change the season has to offer, and that's Fall Guys Creative. So big that Izzytorium decided to fully commit to it and will be making future rounds in creative mode going forward. No more maps made in Unity it seems. They're planning on releasing 50 rounds into solos, and for now, they released 20 maps as of the making of this video, and they released the other 30 as the season progresses. I've played about 15 of the 20 maps to release in solos, and since the race rounds, and just for some reason the checkpoints just feel so far away, if you fall off or get grabbed while jumping over a ledge, trust me, it will happen to you. You just basically lose by default, especially if it's around 3 or 4. I just feel like the map just doesn't have the same vibe, for lack of a better word, than the regular bespoke maps. They just feel too samey, especially the digital themed maps. But I won't lie and say I don't enjoy Shortcut Links, Beans Ahoy, and Spinner Sprints. The finales, on the other hand, are just so unforgiving if you get a bad spawn or a little behind. Good luck, because unless someone screws up, you're done for. You need no better example than Firewall Finale. If you screw up at the start or at any point in the map, you're done for. And I thought Fall Mountain was unforgiving. Since the crown moves up and down, there is a chance that when someone gets to the crown, it could be up. And even though you're behind, by the time you get there, the crown could be down. So there is kind of a catch-up mechanic. I don't want to call it a mechanic, but there's a way for you to catch up. And especially if you get the Yeetus variation, you could just use the Yeetus and actually potentially get near the crown, even though you're behind. But Firewall Finale doesn't really have any way for you to catch up. If you fall down once, I feel like I'm a broken record, but you're just done for. Unfortunately, the other finale maps also suffer from the same issue, if you're behind, you can't catch up as easily unless the person in front of you screws up. Square Up is definitely one of my favorite finales. I would say Slide Showdown is currently my favorite, but Square Up isn't that far behind. And speaking of being behind, if you literally fall while you're actually actually playing the map, you just get sent back like 23 kilometers, so there's just no point in trying. You have to play the map flawlessly. And just the most terrible thing about these finales is the fact that there's 2 rows that you can spawn in. So if you get spawned in the back row in a finale like Square Up, for example, where momentum really matters and the placement really doesn't change from person to person unless they happen to screw up, there's just no chance you're catching up unless the person in front of you screws up, which is pretty unlikely depending on the type of lobby you're in, especially if you're in higher SBMM lobbies, and as the maps get older, people are just going to learn the patterns and where to be. And I would say another map where spawn kind of matters is Parkour Panic, because if you spawn in the front row, you're actually able to fall down to the bottom path much faster. And Parkour Panic is pretty much a straight shot to the finish line, so there really isn't much places that you could potentially mess up. You could mess up at the very end with the Rings Dingus, but chances are you're probably well ahead of the pack. Another place where you can kind of mess up is at the very end with the little padded beams. You can fall down through the little crack before the conveyor belt, but again, that is extremely unlikely, and that's only happened to me once. And it's currently the easiest finale that's released in season 4 so far. I've made 2 maps so far in creative, and I've been enjoying the process. I'm not a genius when it comes to designing maps, so they're fairly basic. I'll make another video about them later, but I do feel like it's a little limited, but it's currently in its infancy, so I won't judge it too hard. But I will say, after a small learning curve, especially if you've never used a map maker before, it's quite simple to use. Currently, it's only race modes that are available, but they did say they're planning on releasing more modes in the future, so that's great. The biggest issue with creative is that you have to share the 16-digit code in order for people to play your map. And right now, there's no discovery tab like there is in Fortnite, which is such a shame. The only way to play other people's maps is to go to social media or Discord, where you can basically find people posting their 16-digit code. Honestly, social media is just something that I rarely use, and since there's no discovery tab, I have no incentive to just play other people's maps. The nice thing is you can play a map solo if you want to, which is just phenomenal. I don't know if it's just me, but when I publish my map and come back later, it's still not published. Like, it'll say unpublished or under moderation and never go into the publish tab. It's just weird. I just don't get it. I do love the fact that you have to beat your map in order to publish it. At first, I thought 1,000 memory units or budget wouldn't be enough, and so far the maps I've made are super basic, so I've never gotten anywhere near it. But honestly, I find it okay now. I would like to see it increase, of course, because I could see some great maps not be made because of how low the budget is. Once again, Izzy from the future here. Focus Owl tweeted out the following on May 19th. Following feedback, we reduced the cost of various items in the level editor. The start line will now cost 20 memory units, whereas before it costed 25. Checkpoint and finish line have reduced from 25 memory units to 15. Curved edge, padded block, bumper, speed bump, basic edge, padded semicircle, curved divider, and padded triangle used to cost 5 memory units but have been reduced to 2 memory units. While the changes may seem insignificant, a lot of people have been giving feedback and been telling them to reduce the items, and I'm glad they decided to do it because a lot of people add the items that the tweet listed, and generally it's just going to lead to much better levels. A lot of levels are just more variety, there's more stuff. Still hope that they actually consider increasing the memory units from 1,000 to say like 2,000 or even 1,500, because that would be a huge change. But lowering items is definitely something they could do immediately, and it could actually have an immediate effect, so good on them for doing that. Honestly, other than that, I really don't have much to say about creative mode. I'm more of a player than a creator, well, in the Fall Guys sense anyways, so if you use map maker a lot, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Future Izzy here. Something I forgot to mention about Fall Guys creative is that it seems like console players were or are having some issues where they aren't able to create anything. They would get PC keybinds or controls when they were using a controller. The very first time I booted up Fall Guys creative, I had a similar issue. I play with a PS4 controller, as you know, and it was showing me PC keybinds, and just later on, Izzytorium alerted people via the newsfeed to reset the keybinds. I tried that and everything worked just fine after that. So if you haven't tried resetting your keybinds, do give it a shot and hopefully it works for you. I'm just glad they released a workaround so quickly and not like a week later. They literally released this like a couple hours after people were saying they were having issues. If you play on console, let me know if you are having any issues with creative. This is the portion of the video where I'll talk about the small changes Izzytorium has made to Fall Guys. When you unlock a new fame path reward on PC and you play with a controller, or the PS4 controller in my case, you would say to press the L button in or the L3 button to equip it. Well, with the PS4 controller anyways, it just never worked. Not in SS1, SS2, or SS3. Heck, even on the first day of SS4 it didn't work. But with an on-the-fly update, it now works. They changed it to the triangle button. Just bravo, Izzytorium, bravo. After a year, you finally fixed it. With the 10.0 update or season 4, labels are now gone. They added them in season 3 Song of Secrets, and it will basically indicate whether you were eliminated, qualified, or waiting for the round to end while in spectator mode. And I'll be honest with you, I straight up didn't notice that it was gone gone when season 4 came out. It took me like a few days just to notice that, oh yeah, labels are gone. In my Fall Guys SS3's Hot Garbage video, I said that labels was the most useless thing they could have added. To me, it just made the spectator screen a little bit too cluttered. It just felt like they added it just for Switch, but everyone received it. If it was a Switch exclusive thing, that would be pretty cool and actually would be useful there, because when you're playing in handheld, the screen is fairly small, so something like that could be useful there. However, for all the other ports where you can actually play with a bigger screen, it's just not really useful in my opinion. Although in squads and duos, you could actually see how many points you brought in for the entire team, which is pretty cool. I low-key kind of wish they made it a toggle, so if you wanted to have labels enabled, you could do that. However, if you don't want to have it on your screen, you can just disable it. The SpongeBob celebration has slightly changed. The background isn't covered in darkness or in shadow, and it's a lot more zoomed out. You can actually notice it in this close-up shot. In SS3, the beam took up most of the screen, and the colored lights aren't as noticeable in season 4. While on the topic of celebrations, in SS3, you can see the colored rectangles actually appear a split second before it actually cuts to the podium. However, with the season 4 update, the colored rectangles will appear right when you're on the celebration screen. As I previously mentioned, when you jump dive and land, you'll now hear this third sound effect. I turned off my music so you can hear it better. Take a listen. Now here's some Hexagon gameplay from before season 4. But the third sound effect definitely wasn't there before season 4. I also heard this in roll off and diving, so it could be a new sound effect in general. But the hex maps is where it's most noticeable. Golden skins are a lot more shinier now. I thought I was seeing things at first, but nope, they actually changed them. This change actually makes them stand out more. The only notable change to the store is that the items tab has been renamed to daily, and season pass has been renamed to fame pass, and they also added the offers tab. Oh yeah, and they brought back the $4 bundle that contains a skin and 600 Showbucks, which is coincidentally the price of a fame pass. In the Showbucks daily store, you're now able to purchase 2 full skins, whereas in SS3 you were only able to purchase 1 full skin. Here's something I found kind of funny. On day 1 of SS3, in the special offers tab, 4 things can be found: 3 skins and an emote, those being Knockout, Rookie, and El Fuego, along with Point the Finger. In season 4, under the feature tab, the same 4 things can be found day 1 in the store in a section called Ringside Rumble, along with the Builder and Worker skins. In SS3, the Maroon Master was added in the daily section of the store, but in the Kudos section, and the problem is it costs Showbucks and not Kudos, so you could purchase it without knowing. Though you could get a refund, but it still shouldn't have been there. And thankfully in season 4, they moved to the Showbucks daily section. With the new show selector, you can no longer select multiple shows. I'll be honest, I've never selected multiple shows like in my 1,900 hours of playing Fall Guys, so I personally don't mind this change, but I could see how not allowing people to choose multiple shows can be an issue. The main one being that people can't be surprised by what show they'll get since they can only just choose one. Before the 10.0.0 update, if you closed Fall Guys and later reopen the game, it would have automatically selected solo show. So if you accidentally press a start show button, it would just start the search. I have done this more times than I care to admit. I remember back in the day, if you were playing an LTM for example, and when you close the game, it would remember that you played it and have it selected when you reopen the game. This was like back in Legacy Season 4 or around March 2021. However, with the new show selector, when you open the game, you'll have to pick the show you want to play. It doesn't default to anything. During the qualification screen in squads and duos, sometimes your teammates will be far away from you. Sometimes they'll be at the other side of the actual pachinko screen thing. And sometimes they'll be right next to you like they should. I think the fact that they can be far away from you is a bug, but that's just something that's weird that I noticed. The options tab has 2 new things. It has notifications so you can see if your friend is online. Thankfully, it's a toggle so you can turn it off if you want, along with a streamer mode, which would basically allow streamers to turn off licensed audio while they live stream. Which shows that Fall Guys are about to get some licensed emotes, maybe celebrations too. The reason it's a thing is because basically licenses content usually has copyright, and your live stream could get taken down if you're playing content that contains copyrighted material. This is a very nice option that most games have nowadays. This won't be relevant to majority of the player base, but I'm glad they added this option. In SS3, they actually started giving a little bit more attention to the live streamers and to the people who stream their game, which is pretty cool in my opinion. In the outfits tab, the tag that indicates the rarity of your cosmetic is not on the top right, rather on the left. Also, it could just be me, but I feel the patterns are slightly sharper on PC. Another thing that I heard that I just can't confirm is that I heard that patterns are actually sharper on Switch. If you play on the Switch port, comment below, let me know, are they sharper? In the interface tab, the little outline that is on the selected nameplate is more evenly spaced, whereas before it wasn't. Here's a side-by-side comparison. You will have to look closely. You couldn't even tell unless you had a side-by-side comparison. I probably wouldn't have noticed this through normal means. Also, a little thing that is basically not a little thing is the text now has a drop shadow, making them more readable on nameplates that may have a bright background. For example, the Mr. Krabs nameplate in SS3 was just downright bad in terms of readability, but now with a drop shadow, it's slightly better. Another thing about the new show selector that I didn't realize till I was playing the game moments ago is that you can no longer see how many crown shards you have. Back in the day, you were able to go to the show selector and see on the top right how many shards you needed to get a crown. And honestly, it was pretty useful just going to one menu and seeing how many shards you had. Now you have to go to the crown rank page with just a few more steps than before. I forgot to mention this during my show selector segment, but it feels just more snappier going between the different tabs. Nearly no lag or stuttering, and it's just extremely seamless. And while making this video, I decided to play the creator made rounds because I didn't do that, believe it or not, and have like 10 hours till the first 4 maps go away. So I was like, why not? Tell me why this game of Fortress Frolics took 2 minutes to load in. I'm not even exaggerating. It literally took 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
One hour later. The next day.
Like, what? Like, I've never been in a loading screen that long in my life. Dog, why did it take so long? It's like downloading the map every time. Like, where is it downloading from? Venus? Oh my god, man, that's just outrageous, man. These creative maps take way too long to get into, but this one was just an egregious example. Let's hope they can decrease the loading times, because it's just getting too much in my opinion. Like, well, past Izzy, I'm here to say that your wish actually has been granted, and it only took them about 2 days from when you actually recorded that segment. Fall Guys Server Owl made a tweet saying, "We have resolved an issue where creator round shows were taking a long time to start due to matchmaking." Even though that 2-minute and 20-second load time is an exaggeration, it's only a one-off, I've noticed that creator round shows would take anywhere from like 10 seconds to load in all the way to 40 seconds, and that is actually a huge range. Though for the most part, it would take around 30 to 25 seconds to load in with the May 18th on the fly update, and now it takes anywhere from 10 seconds to 20 seconds at most. I'm being legitimately honest here. I thought it would take Mediatonic at least a month or so. I thought they were gonna like fix this creator round show load time with the next update on June 12th or something. Season 4 released on May 10th, and they released the fix for the long load times on May 18th. So it essentially took them 8 days to fix it. Actually, you could say it took them 6 days, because if I recall correctly, Mediatonic doesn't actually work on weekends. So it actually took them less time than I originally thought, which I actually thought was going to take them basically more than a month, but it is because Mediatonic really isn't known for doing these really quick and snappy updates on things that actually matter. They're known for doing quick updates when the store goes down or when the store is broken, just not for the main game. In Season 3 Song of Secrets and in Season 2 Silent Scramble, this would just never be a thing. If any of the core modes are broken, they would just leave it until like the next update, which could take them like a few weeks to like even a few months at times. All in all, it really shows how serious Mediatonic is about their creator made rounds. Joe Mama Walsh really wasn't kidding when they said now they can do on the fly updates, because from the first day of Season 4 versus now when I'm like in the first or so week, I've definitely noticed a lot of on the fly updates. For example, when you used to get a reward on the first day of Season 4, you actually had to press L3 or your L button in order to unlock it, but again, like in SS3, that wasn't working. But a day or so later, they actually changed it to triangle. Another example of on the fly changes is that in the main lobby, in the bottom left, you had to press L3 in order to open your party, but just like in SS3, that wasn't working, so they changed to R3 and that worked. Tornado Trials is one one of the creator-made rounds that's actually featured when you go into the show selector. And at first, it actually had the tag of special, but people were complaining how incredibly difficult it was, and also how you just don't have enough time to actually qualify. So they made two on-the-fly changes. One, they changed the tag from special to hard, and they also increased the time to 5 minutes, whereas before it was like 3 or so minutes, I believe. But at one time I played the game, it took me like a whole 2 or so minutes to actually pass the first section. It was crazy, and by the time I got out of the first section, the game was already over. During the qualification screen in solos, on the bottom right part of the screen, you can see this name tag of sorts. It would say Fall Guys team, and then below it would be the Mediatonic nameplate. And with a 100% guarantee, the next map would be a creator-made map. When I was playing solos on May 25th, I actually noticed that the name tag is actually gone from the qualification screen, and the map that we would get next is actually a creator-made map. So it seems that this name tag wasn't supposed to appear during the qualification screen. You can actually see this name tag on the bottom left while on the how to play screen. I don't know if it's just me, but I really like this bug for some reason. It was extremely minor, and it actually would let you know beforehand that the next map you're going to get is a creative one. I get why this bug was fixed, just because the other regular made maps don't have something like this, and it actually spoils the fact that you're going to get a creator made map next. Did you know that Fall Guys has credits? And there's been some changes since season 3 Sucker Secrets. I'll probably miss something, and I'm going to be butchering a lot of these names, so my sincerest apologies if I do. We'll be starting from the top and going all the way to the bottom. In the client engineering team, Tom Rab's name has now been changed to Taylor Rab. Steven Oswald has been promoted from senior client engineer to Fall Guys lead client engineer. Michael Short has been added as senior engine systems programmer. And now moving on to the server engineer team, Rakesh Vangur is no longer the Fall Guys lead server engineer, but is now the lead engineer platform. Ben Constable is now the engineer manager platform, whereas before he was the principal platform engineer. Jacob Maybe Jake Cleary is now lead server engineer. Previously they were the senior server engineer. Jack Rhodes and Steve Lau were both senior platform engineers. However, Jack Rhodes is now lead backend engineer platform, whereas Steve Lau is lead platform engineer. Sadly, Tom Stoney is no longer a server engineer, and they don't seem to be anywhere in the credits. Now for the design team. Leigh Bailey was previously the senior level designer, but are now the levels design lead. Ian Becking is a new addition to the design team and is the lead game designer. Natalia Maikina and David Dillon are now junior level designers. Both Natalia and David were previously level design interns, but now they're junior level designers, which means they passed the intern phase. Congratulations to you two. Yui Albuquerque has been added as a senior UX designer. Onto the art team. Benedict Target was a technical art intern back in season 3 Sucker Secrets. However, they are now a junior technical artist. So a round of applause to Benedict. Oh yeah, and a new addition to the list is Emily McLeod. They have joined as a junior artist. In the quality assurance or QA testing team, Kristen DeVoe is no longer a senior quality assurance analyst, but is rather a QA lead. Now onto the production team. Naoko Ishibashi is a new addition and is a senior producer. Harriet Klemchuk may seem new to the list, but they were part of the Mediatonic marketers and player support as tools admin. However, they have now moved to the production team and are an associate producer. Speaking of Mediatonic marketers, that's up next. Adam Vincent Garland has joined the team as an IP producer, and as you can see, Harriet Klemchuk was part of the marketers team but is no longer there. I suppose they're on to bigger and better things now. Ah yes, the product and analytics team. Ian Becking makes an appearance again. In SS3, he was at the bottom of the list and he was listed as senior game designer, but now he's at the top of the list and his role is the lead game designer. Eddie Barnes is now a senior product manager, whereas before he was a product manager. Alright, crew services, let's see if we've changed it anyway, and that they have. Welcome Crisanto Torres III. They have joined Mediatonic as a senior 3D marketing artist. Anthenia Von Leeuwen is a 3D artist, and Lee Williams has joined Mediatonic as a writer. Oh wow, they added a whole new team, and that's the IT support team in season 4. They weren't there in SS3. Honestly, why am I doing this to myself? Alright, next up is Red Kite Games, the people who are responsible for all the console ports, and it seems like they added quite a few people, those being Keith Gondesi, Anna Jones, Chris Waring, Cyran Halliburton, Declan Larkins, Dheraj Magdum, Edward Owen, Gabriel Lacey, Gary Whittle, Himanshu Parchand, Conrad Kolek, Max Osman, Michael Hazel, Monika Duzyanka, Sam Head, Tejas Yankar, Tim Webster, Vincent Lau, and finally Wysau Kolachik. That's 19 more people. It looks like someone's going on a hiring spree. Okay, Red Kite Games, I see you. Alright, there is no time to stop. On to the multiplayer group, and there's quite a few name changes here actually. Juan Escarado's name has been changed in the credits to Juan Escarado Gomez, and he was a senior software engineer and is now the lead engineer. David David Martinez's name has been changed to David Martinez Martin. So has Gabriel Marin, who is now Gabriel Marian Terran. And the longest name change goes to Marco Palusis, who is now referred to as Marco Antonio Palusis Vasquez. And finally, Chris Bonnet is now Christopher Bonnet. And as for the new faces, George Mario Vanesh is a senior software engineer, Camilla Alacorn Badinost and Shane Fanning as software engineers. And here's a new addition, they actually added Wushu Studios. Wushu Studios basically are the people who are responsible for Fall Guys Creative, and they've been added along with the server engineering team - rocket science. Oh, would you look at that? Midtonic has actually increased its legal team a little bit. They added Beata Subco and Celeste Berry as senior counsel, whereas before it was just Henry Foster. We have this special thanks block of text, which is an onslaught of names, but some of my favorites are, and the first line where they thanked Anna Vancouver, who provided them with enough caffeine to finish this thing. Honestly, it's just very cute in my opinion. And yes, I did check through every name on both the SS3 credits and the season 4 credits multiple times, and to say the only new thing added was a text at the very end which says "Uses simply gone 2023 Microsoft." While editing this portion of the video, I actually noticed something that's actually different, or not different. In the season 4 special thanks section, Taylor Rabb's name is actually listed as Tom Rabb, and I think I found Tom Stonley, who was actually listed in the season 3 credits, but they weren't in the season 4 credits. At least I think I did. Thomas Stonley is actually listed in the special block of text in both season 3 and season 4. So I think Thomas is their full name and Tom is just shortened, I suppose. Since season 4 added a bunch of new teams and a bunch of new roles, the credits last much longer now. It lasts for 4 minutes and 9 seconds, whereas in season 3 Second Secrets or SS3 it lasted for 3 minutes and 47 seconds. It seems like a lot of Midtonic employees seem to have got promoted, and some of them have got promoted to really high levels, and actually some interns actually got promoted to actual level designers or junior level designers, and Red Cat Games hired a lot of people. It seems like they're really expanding for season 4, so congratulations to all the people who got jobs, congratulations to all the people who were interns who are now actual employees, and then generally congratulations to anyone who basically got a promotion. Guys, this video took forever to make, and I just want to say thank you guys for 18,000 subscribers, and thank you to our Max Tour members. Without your support, I don't think I would be able to actually make these long videos and dedicate more time. So please consider joining. Even in the $1 tier is plenty enough. And click here to find out why I was worried about season 4.